There is a road in South America that simply stops. Not because of a border, not because of a checkpoint, because there is nowhere left to drive. Beyond this point, the next stretch of solid ground is Antarctica, 800 kilometers of open ocean away. The people who live here call it, in Spanish, El Fin del Mundo, the end of the world. And for once, the name isn't an exaggeration. This is Patagonia, a region so vast, so windswept, and so far from everything that even reaching its edges is its own kind of expedition. Today, we're going all the way to the bottom of it. Ushuaia sits at the southern tip of Argentina on an island called Tierra del Fuego, and it holds a title no other city on Earth can claim, the southernmost city in the world, wedged between the Marshall Mountains and the Beagle Channel. It wasn't always a place people wanted to live. In the late 1800s, the Argentine government built a prison here, specifically because of how remote it was, a place so isolated that escape meant almost certain death in the wilderness. That prison and the forced labor of its inmates is the reason Ushuaia exists as a city at all. Many of the roads, buildings, and railway lines the prisoners built by hand are still standing today, including a narrow steam train once used to haul timber through the freezing forest, now kept running purely for visitors who want a glimpse of what that daily march to work once looked like. From the harbor, fishing boats head out into water cold enough to kill an unprotected swimmer in minutes, chasing king crab in some of the roughest seas on the planet. Above the town, glaciers cling to mountains that rise almost straight out of the sea, and snow can fall here in every single month of the year, even in the brief window locals still call summer. Just outside the city, the road makes its final push toward the coast and then simply ends, literally, at a wooden sign marking the last kilometer of the Pan-American Highway, a route that technically begins over 17,000 kilometers north, near the Arctic Circle in Alaska. Tierra del Fuego National Park sits right at that terminus, a landscape of wind-bent forest, glacial lakes, and beaver dams built by an invasive species introduced decades ago that has since reshaped entire valleys with no natural predator to stop it. Condors ride thermals along the cliffs with barely a wing beat, and the water here is so clear and so cold that it mirrors the mountains almost as precisely as the salt flats do further north. Standing at that final road sign with nothing but ocean and ice ahead, it's hard not to feel the specific, quiet vertigo of being at the literal edge of a continent. Hundreds of kilometers north, past sheep ranches and empty highway, Patagonia changes character completely. El Chaltén is a town that didn't exist before 1985. It was built almost overnight by the Argentine government for one strategic reason: to settle a disputed stretch of border with Chile before anyone else could claim it first. Today, it's known for something entirely different. Locals and climbers call it the trekking capital of Argentina, built in the shadow of one of the most technically difficult mountains on Earth to summit. Mount Fitz Roy, a jagged spire of granite that pierces straight up out of the flat steppe like a shard of broken glass. Its peak is wrapped in cloud so often that seeing it clearly is considered a small stroke of luck, and climbers have died attempting its sheer granite face since the first successful summit in 1952. You don't need to be a climber to feel its pull, though a day hike from town leads to a turquoise glacial lake sitting directly beneath it. And on the rare, clear morning, the entire massif turns fire orange at first light, a phenomenon so specific to this exact spot that photographers plan entire trips around, catching it just once. Further south, near the town of El Calafate, sits one of the strangest glaciers on the planet. Strange not because it's shrinking, like almost every other glacier on Earth, but because Perito Moreno is one of the very few still advancing. Roughly 5 kilometers wide and over 70 meters tall at its face, it creeps forward at a rate of nearly 2 meters a day, grinding across the water until it eventually dams an entire arm of the lake behind it. When the pressure finally becomes too much, the ice wall collapses in a rupture so massive it's been recorded on seismographs, sending chunks of ice the size of buildings crashing into the water below. This rupture cycle has repeated unpredictably for decades, and and it's one of the only glacial events on Earth people can watch happen live, standing on viewing platforms built directly across the water from the face of the ice. The sound alone, a crack like distant thunder followed by a roar as thousands of tons of ice hit the lake, is something most visitors say no video fully prepares you for. Between these landmarks lies the part of Patagonia most travelers never see, the open steppe where sheep estancias stretch for tens of thousands of hectares and the nearest neighbor might be an hour's drive away. Life on an estancia runs on the same rhythm it has for over a century, gauchos on horseback, moving flocks across enormous, treeless distances, using dogs bred and trained specifically for herding in wind strong enough to knock over an unprepared adult. And the wind here isn't just weather, it's practically a permanent resident. Patagonia sits directly in the path of air masses racing uninterrupted across the entire Pacific and slamming into the Andes, and gusts regularly exceed 100 kilometers per hour with no warning at all. Trees along the steppe grow permanently bent, sculpted sideways over decades by wind that never really stops blowing from the same direction. Locals joke that you can identify a Patagonian from the way they walk, leaning slightly into a wind that isn't even there anymore, a habit built from a lifetime of fighting it just to walk in a straight line. This is also against every expectation, some of the richest wildlife territory left in South America. Guanacos, wild cousins of the llama, move across the steppe in herds of hundreds, alert enough to sense a puma from nearly a kilometer away. Andean condors, among the largest flying birds on the planet, nest on cliffs along the mountains and can travel over 200 kilometers in a single day without more than a few wing beats, riding wind currents that would ground almost anything else. Along the coast, colonies of Magellanic penguins numbering in the hundreds of thousands dig burrows directly into the earth, returning to the exact same nesting site year after year for their entire lives. Out here, humans are clearly the visitors. Everything else has been perfectly adapted to this place for a very, very long time. Patagonia doesn't offer comfort, and it was never built to. The wind never fully stops, the weather changes in minutes, and the nearest help can be hours away in any direction. But there's something about standing at the literal end of a continent, at the edge of maps that used to simply read unknown in this exact spot, that puts almost everywhere else in perspective. This is a place that has always demanded something from the people who choose to live here, and in exchange, it has kept itself almost entirely unspoiled. There's still a whole planet of edges left to find. Subscribe, and let's keep going, one hidden latitude at a time.